Y'all, we're finally testing that viral carnivore mac and cheese. What? Come on. Welcome to Highfalutin Low Carb, the almost weekly web series where we find and test the best low carb recipes this crazy internet has to offer. Today, we're finally testing that viral carnivore mac and cheese, and it's a little bit weird. Stay tuned. All right, guys, carnivore mac and cheese. Now, we've done a few mac and cheese battles throughout the years. Our winner back in the day, I believe, was the Keto Connect recipe. We did some other versions in that video as well. I'll leave a link up to, I think it's over here, to that. But today there's a new landscape, and carnivore has become quite popular, and ketovore, and there is a recipe out there that everybody's talking about and you guys have bugged me to death about. So we are testing our friend Chris over at Chris Cooking Nashville, his website and YouTube channel. He has created a carnivore mac and cheese that the comments are going crazy over. So I want to find out if that is as good as everybody says it is. Now, if you remember, we tested his carnivore mashed potatoes, also a very unusual recipe, and I was shocked about that. To be very honest, the outcome was remarkable. I'll also leave a link to that video up here because if you haven't made it or haven't seen it, you got to check it out. It's amazing what he's coming up with. So today we're testing out his recipe for carnivore mac and cheese, and he talks about a secret ingredient, and I'm just going to let you now know ahead of time that secret ingredient is shrimp. So he's going to mix some ingredients into a mixture that we're going to bake in the oven and then sort of fry in a pan, and he swears and everybody swears that this texture is a spongy, bouncy pasta alternative that is high in protein and very, very low in carbs. So we're going to test that today. Now, shrimp as a filler and a protein binder, that's not really that new. I mean, Asian cultures have been using it, shrimp paste as a binder for proteins for forever, like dumplings or shumai or any of that stuff, often uses shrimp paste to hold things together and create a bouncy, spongy texture. And I think that's what Chris is doing here. Now, there's also another recipe out there that's been around for a while, and we actually talked about it. People were doing it 4 or 5 years ago when I did the original battle for regular keto mac and cheese, of using shrimp, tiny salad shrimp, because they're kind of curled and look a little bit like a macaroni noodle. And if you add enough sauce and cheese and things, you kind of cover up the shrimpy flavor, and it gives a mouthfeel sort of like pasta. I can see that where that's happening. Again, we did that probably 4 or 5 years ago. I believe the new one out right now that everybody's kind of excited about is by Two Crazy Ketos. So we've done that before. So what I want to do is test this recipe. So let's get started on that now. And right now we've got in our blender, we're going to start with a blender. And I'm not going to give you exact ingredients. I'm going to leave a link to Chris's website here on the screen, and his YouTube video is going to be posted here. And it's also in the video description below. If you're new here, you don't know this. If you're not new here, you do know. I don't give exact measurements for these recipes. These aren't my recipes. The people that did create them, they deserve the traffic. So I'm going to give you the links here, just one click away, if you want to find out the exact ingredients for all of these. But for now, we're going to start with whole eggs, and I'll just let you know there's 4 of them in here. He uses his Vitamix. I don't have a Vitamix. I've got the Ninja, which I do like, and but it's got blades that are separated, and we need to get a nice convex, what is that, cavitation, I believe, in that bottom of that blender. So I'm going to try it in my attachment that's sort of like the NutriBullet that's got regular blades at the bottom. If this blows out of here and there's too much, we'll just keep on going, and I'm going to put it in a regular blender. So at the end of this, if you see it come out of the regular blender instead of this little thing, you know we had some problems. All right, so let's get started on this with 4 eggs, and then let's put in our shrimp. And I'm going to tell you, he calls for 1.5 cups of shrimp. And this is little tiny salad shrimp. These are little pea-pie, tiny little things, and they are very mild in flavor. And the nice thing, let me show you what I use. You can usually find this in the frozen section, seafood section of most grocery stores. And I particularly like the Kroger brand. It's the store brand Kroger salad shrimp. These are so cheap. You get 4 ounces. This is $2 a bag. They're 2 for $4. And the cup and a half was actually 3 of these bags. So one of these bags is about a half cup, give or take, if you measure it out. What I like about these is these are just shrimp and salt. They don't have that weird TSP, I think it's like trisodium phosphate, whatever that preservative is that they put in frozen shrimp and seafood that kind of makes it foamy, tastes a little soapy to me. You can never really rinse it out. It makes it hold moisture. I just try to avoid that, not for any health reasons, just because I don't enjoy the flavor, but I can tell it a mile away. For some reason, the Kroger's wild caught shrimps, like this salad shrimp, all the way up to their jumbos, they don't have that in it, and I love that. So I can get these at our Ralph's, which is a Kroger brand, not sponsored, just letting you know where I find them. So I believe Walmart also has some of these, but I do believe they have the TSP in it. So anyway, that's what I use. Okay, so this recipe is going to go pretty quickly. So let's just get our shrimp in our container here, and this is where I'm going to find out if this is just too big, and it's already coming out looking pretty big. We may have to switch to the regular blender, kids. In fact, I'm going to just give up on that now, because while that was a good idea, it's just too much. So pause. Okay, so we're going to switch to the regular blender. I wish I had a Vitamix, and if you do, let me know. I know everybody raves about them. I just have never taken the plunge because I don't really use a blender that much I thought to justify the expense of one, but gosh, they are nice for things like this. But we might have to run this just a little bit longer to get it completely smooth. Also, it helps if you don't have a Vitamix to make sure the cream cheese that we're going to add in a moment is at room temperature. So we've got our shrimp and our eggs in our blender. Don't need that. Get that blade out of the way before I cut my leg off on that. And to this, we're going to add a few other things. Let's actually start with the liquid. This is cream cheese. If you don't know exactly how much, it's going to be right here on the screen and in the video description. So I'm going to throw in the cream cheese. This has been softened. It is at room temperature. And in addition to this are a couple of little items. One is egg white protein powder. This is going to bump up the protein in this recipe and also probably give a gelling power to this. Get out of the way. And lastly, this is a little bit of gelatin. I'm just using regular unflavored gelatin from the grocery store. You can also use beef gelatin, grass-fed beef gelatin. If you are so inclined, that would probably be a healthier option if you're able to get it and want to buy it and can afford it. So this is going to start on low. Then once it's combined, I'm going to kick it up to high and let this run for 30 to 60 seconds, maybe a little longer, until this is completely liquefied. So I'm going to speed that up so you don't have to watch. This is going to go pretty quickly. So I'll meet you right back here in just a second. So you just want this to be as smooth as possible. So I'm going to knock these sides down, which I did while it was going. And this looks pretty good. And we're going to spread this out into these baking sheets. He uses a silicone dehydration mat, which I don't have, but he also gives instructions for parchment paper. So we're going to do that now. And this is where the magic happens. But before we do that, before we start on that, I need to give a huge thank you to the sponsor of this video, Trade. Trade helps you make better coffee at home. Trade sources the best coffees across the country and brings them right to your doorstep. They've built relationships with over 55 local craft roasters so you can enjoy their expertise right from the comfort of your home. Now, you'll visit their website and take a quiz about your preferences, and they will map those preferences to hundreds of different coffee flavor profiles. Their technology pairs you with the best coffees using art and science. Now, one of the most important parts of this equation is that Trade roasts your coffee to order and delivers it exactly when you need it, usually within 48 hours of roasting, so you are sure to receive the freshest roast possible. And that fresh roast, whether you're getting it ground or whole bean, really means a tremendous amount of the flavor. Everything I've tried from them has been amazing because I told them in the quiz what I like in a coffee, and that's what they're shipping me. Now, there are multiple ways to experience Trade. You can get one of their subscription plans like I have, or you can try one of their starter packs just to see if this is going to work out for you. So right now, Trade has a fantastic offer for my viewers. You can visit drinktrade.com/highfalutin to sign up and save $15 on select plans, and you'll get your first bag of coffee for free. Sponsorships aren't why I do this, they're how I do this. And sponsorships like Trade keep channels like mine on the air. And for that, I am so appreciative. So guys, if you want to support me, go support them. Again, it's drinktrade.com/highfalutin to sign up and save $15 and get your first bag of coffee for free. All right, let's go make that macaroni and cheese. Come on. All right, guys, so let's get these onto these trays. And he uses lard, which I don't have any lard, but again, he is carnivore. You can make this ketovore. You could use lard if you wanted. I'm using avocado oil because it's flavorless and odorless. And we're just going to pour this out onto these sheets. And then you want these to get about spread them, I guess you want to divide this evenly. You want to get these to about a 1/4 inch to an 1/8 inch thick, he said. If you're doing it on the parchment like we're about to do, you may have some crispy edges, which we don't really want. You may want to trim around those. But other people in the comments have had good success that have rave about these noodles, and they've done it on parchment. So I don't have any doubts, hopefully, that we can get the same results. Just need to get it all out of here. Okay, so now with a little offset spatula, I'm going to come in here and just try to spread this out and get it even as we can. So I'm going to speed this up so you don't have to sit and watch. All right, so we've got these spread out. Again, we don't have these silicone molds, but I think we're going to do okay here. These go into a preheated 325-degree oven for 15 minutes. We take them out and let them cool down for 5 minutes. So I'll meet you back here after all of that. See you in just a bit. All right, guys, so we are back, and as you can see, our macaroni noodles, I guess you can call them, they're not that yet. What's going to serve as our macaroni noodles is out of the oven. They're not really browned. They didn't get crispy on the edges. There's a little bit of wrinkling because of the parchment. That wouldn't happen in the silicone pan, apparently. But let's go ahead and do the rest of this. We've got to cut these, so I'm just going to transfer them quickly to a cutting board. I'm also going to just gently wipe excess oil and moisture off of them, because we're going to spend some time in a skillet. So I'm actually going to set this on to heating to medium-low so that can be getting hot. And now from here we're going to cut these. This is supposed to mimic boxed macaroni. So well, they're a little firm. I like that. So cut them. You know, this is word on the street, kids, is that this behaves like the Kraft macaroni and cheese. So I'm going to cut them about the width of what you would think those noodles would be, and then we'll stack them up and slice them thin. So I'm going to speed that up now so you don't have to watch all of this, and I'll catch you back here in just a second. Okay, so we've got our little, what are going to be macaroni noodles. Maybe I went a little too large on them. I'll be honest, they don't smell like shrimp at all. There is obviously an egg odor, but not a shrimp odor. I'm also going to throw in a little bit of cheese into our, that is butter, sorry. A little bit of butter into our pan, because we're now going to fry these in a skillet over medium-low to medium heat. And this could take, he said, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, maybe up to 10 minutes. What we're doing is driving off the moisture and then overcooking them, not browning them, not burning them, but maybe a little brown. But when you're overcooking shrimp, it turns, hard, like what you wouldn't want to do with fresh shrimp. we're trying to do that here because we want that bouncy, springy texture. So into our skillet, all of our noodles, our macaroni are gonna go, and then I'm just gonna probably just speed this up. You just want to keep this turning, keep this moving. He said they'll start to stick together. That's when you know the moisture is being driven off. Keep cooking them, keep moving them, and eventually they will stop sticking together, and that's when you know they're ready. Some of his were slightly browned, but I mean, we're not looking for big, browned chunks of egg in here, but some, like the dark part of scrambled eggs, I did see some of his look like that. So I'm just going to speed this up. I'm going to turn this up a little bit to more like medium. Just speed this up so you can watch it, and I'll meet you right back here, and we'll go from there. All right, we're almost there. Okay, so we are almost there. This has been about 7 minutes, and you can see I've got some browning. A couple of them got a little overly brown. I did what you should never do, the cardinal sin with eggs. I turned my back on them. You never turn your back on them.
Never turn your back on her, you silly girl!
So a couple of them got a little extra crispy, but I think we'll be okay. So from here, you can do whatever you want to do with these noodles. You can use your favorite sauce, put them in whatever recipe calls for macaroni. But we're going to use Chris's sauce that he makes right here in the pan. So we're going to add to this a little bit, equal parts of heavy cream and water. So there's my cream. Again, if you want to know how much, chriscookingnashville.com, and then the water as well. Get those mixed in, and now we're going to add in some cheese. This is just shredded cheese. He uses bag shredded cheese, I believe, so that's what I'm using here. If you want to shred your own, by all means do it. If you have some other cheese sauce that you prefer, by all means go for it, if I believe that will work. But everybody seems to be pretty happy with this. So we're just going to keep this moving and get our sauce creamy. He also added a little bit of extra cheese, so I reserved some over here towards the end if it's not cheesy enough. You're kind of just making sure, oh, it's getting creamy. It is, it is. My noodles may be a little bit big for macaronis. These would be jumbo shells and cheese instead of macaroni elbows. He also adds a little bit of salt, so I'm going to do that, just a quick little spritz. This looks great. I'm going to do what he did, add just a little bit more cheese to it to make sure it's good and cheesy. I'm going to turn the heat off now because I believe we're almost there. And then from here, you just plate this and top it if you want to top it. He does bacon and I believe jalapeno. I did cook a few strips of bacon in the microwave real quick so we could test it with that, but I want to see what it's like without that first. Now, apparently, word on the street also is that you can use this before you slice them up. You can slice them into almost like lasagna sheets and use them for lasagna and some other ways of using noodles, so like longer egg noodles or whatever. So I'm excited to experiment with this and see where this goes. So hold on, let me get us some plates and we're going to test this and I'll be right back. Okay, so let's test this. I don't smell eggs really, and I don't smell shrimp at all. So I'm kind of excited about that. I want something that is reminiscent. You know, I know it's not going to be an exact replica. I want something that's reminiscent of mac and cheese, but I'm not looking for shrimp. You know, I love shrimp and cheese, doesn't bother me at all, shrimp and cheese, but we're just looking for mac and cheese. So let's see, what do we think about this? It's still, boy, it's hot, but you know, I love to burn my face off on all this stuff, and it's super cheesy. The texture is really forkable. Careful. All right, what's it taste like? Shrimpy? It feels like macaroni. It feels like macaroni. There's a little bit of an egg flavor, but almost like egg noodles. If you've made like curly egg noodles back in the day, you know, before we were eating keto, it kind of has that flavor. Y'all ain't mad at that at all. Chris, you're smart. He threw a little bacon on his and some jalapeno. I don't have any jalapeno, but I do have some bacon, and I bet that even adds to the savoriness of this. Y'all. How? Y'all, that is so good. And really pretty easy. I mean, you know, you've got to wash the blender now, but throw that thing in the dishwasher. And, you know, it took 2 methods of cooking, the oven and the skillet, but dang, that is good. And it is so low carb. The only carbs in this are the little bit in the cream. And like 1 egg has like a half a carb, and the cream cheese has very, you know, little carbs, if anything. It just, there's nothing to it. If I were doing this, hold on. Next time I make this, I'm going to add onion and garlic and saute that before we put the cheese in until it's soft and tender. We did that in the original mac and cheese battle. It was in the Keto Connect recipe, which I linked up here. It'll be linked down below. I think that would add even more to this. Again, that wouldn't be carnivore. I realize this is carnivore, but if you wanted to slide over into the ketovore and you can tolerate maybe 1/3 of a cup of thinly diced onion and a little spoonful of minced garlic, and then get that kind of tenderized before you throw in your cream sauce and then add your noodles. I think that would even be like just totally gill the lily. But y'all, this is fantastic, and I am excited to play with this recipe with the shrimp. There is no shrimp flavor at all, and only a slight egg flavor. So I'm excited to where else we can go with this. I'm thinking long strips. I'm thinking sheets of pasta. Totally excited about this. Check out the little salad shrimp that I mentioned from Kroger. I keep them on hand because they're great just to rinse off, and you can quickly make a little shrimp salad with some mayo and a little bit of chives and whatever, and make a little shrimp salad. It's so good, and this is just another use for them, and it's super cheap and super high protein and super low carb. So Chris, you're a genius, my man. I thought the mashed potatoes were good, and they are great, and this is equally as surprising as it is fantastic. So thank you for coming up with this. Guys, I ask you to go spread the YouTube love to him. Go to Chris Cooking Nashville is his channel name. It's in YouTube. It's linked below, and his website where this recipe is printed can be found at his website, chriscookingnashville.com. So, all right, guys, thank you for joining me. I say this every time. These videos are a way for me to maintain my low carb way of eating, and looking into that camera as often as I can helps keep me honest. So I appreciate that you guys have come along for the journey. I'm going to ask you to please click the like button down below, and that's the easiest way you can help me here. It lets YouTube algorithm know that you can share this with other people who like this type of content. If you're new here, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell button down below so you're notified just as soon as I release a new video. If you don't follow me on Instagram and Facebook, please do so over there. It's just Highfalutin Low Carb, just like it is here. I talk a little more frequently and a little more freely over there. I'm also sharing some information over there about a project and that I'm working on, I guess an event I'm riding with AIDS Life Cycle. It's a 545-mile bike ride in 7 days from San Francisco to Los Angeles in June of 2024, raising money for a fantastic organization. I'll put a link to donate down there if you're interested. I'm almost at my goal thanks to you guys, so I really appreciate that. And I'm just sharing some information over on Facebook and YouTube about that. Lastly, I need to thank my sponsor again, Trade. If you don't mind, go to drinktrade.com/highfalutin. You'll get $15 off if you sign up for a package, and you'll get a free bag of coffee with your first order. And lastly, I need to thank my rock stars. I couldn't do this without them. It's my Patreon members. If you don't know what Patreon is, think of it as the tip jar for the internet. It lets people like you who enjoy what people like me do here on YouTube. You can give $1 or $2 a month just to sort of keep the train on the tracks and get some behind scenes information and notifications first as soon as I release new videos. You're going to see their names. I believe they're scrolling over here. Again, without them, none of this would be possible. So thank you all so very much. Chris, thank you for another fantastic recipe. I'll see you guys very soon in the next video. And remember, today is a great day to have a great day.